You should have your blue reading book on page 96. James, I don't know what I'm looking at, sir, but I hope you're there. I shouldn't have friends who have disappeared because I gave you guys warning at the beginning to grab these books. We're going to get started here in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, we have our trip to Washington, D.C. Remember, Washington, D.C. is the capital of our country. It's an important place, okay? It is an important place. Can you say Washington, D.C.? And give me a thumb up if you've heard of that place. If you've heard of Washington, D.C. If you've heard of Washington, D.C., it's probably because it is an important place. It's our capital. Okay. Anybody remember our friend's name down here who takes us on a tour of Washington, D.C. in the story? What is this guy's name? What is it, Mika? Starts with an M. Let's turn the page and maybe I'll jog your memory. Hi, my name is Metro Mike. Good. Thanks, Mika. All right, go ahead and you can turn the page with me, first graders, so that we can go back through Washington, D.C. Now, yesterday when we read this story, we really got a good idea of how important it is. There's a lot of important places in Washington, D.C. That's a big idea. Everybody do that with me. Big idea that I learned from reading this is that Washington, D.C. has a lot of important places. So today we're going to focus on finding some details about that. Remember, the details are the examples of those important places. So we're going to read it again so that in your mind, you really have a good idea of some of these places that are important. Okay, so read along with me quietly, at least following along with your finger. Okay. Hi, my name is Metro Mike, and I'm here to show you Washington, D.C. Every year, people come to this city from all over. Do you know why? It is the capital of our country. Okay, so people come from all over the world, we're talking, from different countries to see Washington, D.C. Come with me, he says. I'll show you this splendid city. Sometimes I have a busload of people, but now this coach is just for you. All right, he's taking us on our own little tour. Can't wait. Go ahead and turn the page. We see a picture of this important place. And we can always find the name of the important place on the page by looking at Metro Mike's screen at the front of his bus. It says Capitol. In Washington, D.C., the leaders of our country make laws. Laws are rules we follow. How do these people become our leaders? We vote for them. When people vote, they pick who will make the laws that we all follow. So this is the Capitol, and at the Capitol, they make what? Who can tell me that fancy L word again? What do they make at the Capitol? Annabelle, what's that fancy word with an L?
Laws.
Laws, good. And laws are those important rules that everyone has to follow. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to keep going because we've read it once before. So what we're doing is refreshing our memory. Now we're at the National Archives. Our first stop is on your left. That's the home of two documents. One is the Declaration of Independence. That paper says that Americans have the right to be free. The other is the U.S. Constitution. It is the plan for our government. I love the way Annabelle's following along. Okay, love the way Jax is following along and Haley, good job. So wow, we've already learned of a couple different important places in Washington, D.C. Let's see our next one. Ooh, where are we now? Where are we now? We're on page 105. Where did Metro Mike say we are now, Carrington?
The White House.
Woohoo, we're at the White House. Who remembers who lives at the White House? Who lives at the White House, first graders? Who remembers? Oh boy. Who lives there, Annabelle?
George Washington.
Oh, he doesn't. He's actually, George Washington actually is passed away now. There's an important person, a different important person that lives there. James, do you know what the name of that person is? It starts with a P. The who? The
President.
President lives at the White House. Good. And Annabelle was on the right track. This is George Washington, and he was a president. Since he was the first president, he actually didn't get to live at the White House because it wasn't built yet. But let's read a little bit about him too. Sorry, my words are so bright today because of all the sun coming in the room. Okay, but you can follow along in your book. Washington, D.C. was named after George Washington, our first president. The president is the leader of our country. Many people call George Washington the father of our country. Okay. I'll slow down here to show you the White House. This is where the president lives and works now. Okay, right now our president's name is Joe Biden. So Joe Biden lives and works at the White House. Moving along. Ooh, who liked this page? Was anyone interested in this page? Yeah, kind of cool, huh? And it's a little different. Most of the other important places were buildings, right? And then all of a sudden we see this beautiful water. Let's read about it. This next road will take us by the Potomac River. Look up in the sky. That beautiful bird stands for America. It is strong and free. What kind of bird is that? What kind of bird is that, Haley?
An eagle.
It is an eagle. It's a bald eagle. Good. Did you see that splash? That bird took a fish to put in its mouth. Once there weren't many of these birds in the wild. Now there are many more, which is a good thing. Awesome. We have the Potomac River. All right, last page. Down that street, you'll see lots of flags. In Washington, D.C., you will see the stars and stripes flying in many places. This red, white, and blue flag also stands for America. A lot of you in your reading activities yesterday said this place was the most interesting to you. I'd love to hear why. Why is this place interesting to you? What was cool about it for my friends who enjoyed this part? You want to share? James, what did you like about this place?
Because it's kind of like a skyscraper.
Oh, because it's really tall. I like that word, skyscraper. Cool. Thanks for sharing, James. All right, let's say so long to Metro Mike here on the last page. We are back at the start. I hope you found Washington, D.C. to be a great city. Come back again soon. Now he says goodbye. Great. So let's see. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me when I say our big idea here is that Washington, D.C. is an important place? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with me, or maybe a thumbs to the side if you're, not really, Mrs. Garris. I should see a thumb from all my first graders so that I know you are hearing me. It's okay if you don't agree with me. All right, Good. So I see a lot of thumbs up. It is an important place. It has lots of important places and things in it. Those are the details you're going to be looking for today. Our fact is that Washington, D.C. is important. What would a detail be? Tell me an example of an important place that we just read about in Washington, D.C. Let's see. Oh, do I have to pick on first grade friends today? What is a place in Washington, D.C. that we read about that makes it important? Go ahead, Carrington. What is one place that stuck out to you?
The White House.
The White House. So first graders, if I go to this page about the White House, I want to know something about the White House. Carrington, and what did you learn about the White House?
At first, I didn't know what it looked like.
Okay. What makes it important? Remember, somebody important lives there.
The president lives there.
Yes, that's what makes it important. That's where the president lives. The leader of our country lives there. What other places did you guys think were interesting? Annabelle, which place did you think was interesting? Remember, we went to all of these places.
The Capitol building.
The Capitol. Look, I'm right there, Annabelle. Tell me about the Capitol. Why is it important? Remember what they make there? You told me earlier, what's that fancy L word? Those fancy rules we have to follow.
The laws.
Yes, the Capitol is important because laws are made there. And if I don't remember, let's say I think, ooh, Capitol looks cool. I can reread the page, okay? In Washington, D.C., the leaders of our country make laws, okay? And that happens in this Capitol building. So I can recall why it was important. That's a strategy you guys will probably have to use today to find your facts and details, okay? So, anybody else want to share an interesting place from the story before we move on? Haley, what do you think was interesting? If I'm a first grader right now too, I'm listening to all my friends because these are details that I can put in my mind.
Pond thingy.
What, honey?
The water thingy.
The water. That place, if we go to the water page, that place had a name. The Potomac River, right? Why is that place cool and important, Haley? Who might you find flying around there?
The eagle.
The eagle, right? And the eagle is important to our country as well because it stands for America. Good stuff. All right. First graders, you may either close your book or keep it open to this page because you'll need to use it for your reading activity today. But either way, set it aside for me, please. Remember, you will need to use it to find details about Washington, D.C. If you've been listening and following along, you've heard lots of different details that you'll be able to put into your fact and details web today for reading.